Good morning. And welcome to our Zoom worship service. We preface our service each week by acknowledging that the land on which our homes and our church were built was not uninhabited when European settlers arrived here with their ideas of conquest and ownership. For those of us who live in Moscow, Pullman, or other nearby communities, we live on the ancestral homelands of the Nimipu, called Nez Perce by the French-speaking traders, the Palouse, and the Chichumsh, called the Coeur d'Alene. If you're joining us from another place, I encourage you to discover who inhabited or moved through the place where you now live in the times before colonization and genocide, and where those people are now. We pause and remember that we live on ground that is sacred, ground that was stolen, ground that cries out for justice and responsible stewardship. May our remembering help us find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and all her peoples. Now, let us join our voices together for our words of welcome, unison chalice lighting, and sung affirmation. Whoever you are, wherever you've come from, whatever your beliefs, whomever you love, and however bumpy your life's journey, know that you are welcome here.
Hi, we're the Stewarts. I'm Lena.
I'm Julia.
And I'm Lex. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung in every land by every tongue.
Hello, I'm Nancy Nelson. I'm helping present today's service. Today we are taking a peek into our new church home. It's not finished yet and won't be until sometime late this fall. But already we can see the fulfillment of our desire to make a radically welcoming building. This slide shows how we used to enter our building. This is becoming our new main entrance. It looks like there's a step there, but that will disappear into a smooth ground level entrance that you can stroll or roll straight in. Then you can choose either the elevator, which is that's what this slide shows, or wide steps that will ascend to the sanctuary. If you are visiting our Reverend Elizabeth Stevens, there are no stairs up or down, just straight in. Our opening words as we gather today are from Orlando Brugnola. Here, find a house of welcoming. Here, find vision and hope. Here, be received as you truly are, unique and beautiful. Your journey acknowledged, your love honored. Let us rejoice together. And now we will sing together our opening hymn, Building a New Way.
We are building Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them gardens instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. Come, build a land where family and strangers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations of old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come, build a land where siblings and cousins, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come, build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come, build the land my people we seek. Come, build a land where all of the people, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
I invite you to travel to the future. So close your eyes if that helps you imagine a different time and place. Relax and let the room around you fade away. Now you are back in our sanctuary. You look around and see the familiar Gothic windows and the comforting triptych of the Palouse skyscape. But new details catch your eye. The piano and the speaker's podium are on a larger new dais with many safe handholds and a ramp so you can easily join Reverend Elizabeth there. Together, you begin to sing. This is time travel. Everything happens here. As you sing, you are joined by so many voices, familiar and new. Some of those voices ring out from the balcony, which glows with light from the large window behind it. Sam, our music director, is at the piano as the choir joins in the song. All those voices in a familiar, beloved, and renewed space that seems to breathe on its own accord with more air and more light. The service comes to an end, and you join the crowd leaving the sanctuary. Some people use wide stairs, and some use the elevator to descend to ground level and then to the fellowship hall. And should you need it, there will be 5 bathrooms to choose from. As you enter the fellowship hall, you see the familiar tiled floor, but it is bigger now, with windows that give you a glimpse of the pink prairie smoke and blue flax flowers growing in the native plant bed. You sip your coffee, nice and strong, and smile at the new face beside you. It is good. It is good to be here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam Welsh. I'm the music director here. For this next selection, I wanted to switch gears for just a moment and share a video from our friend Pete Wernick. Yesterday marked the 1-year anniversary of the passing of civil rights leader Congressman John Lewis. In his honor, Pete composed and performed this ballad last year. So for those of you who might not know Pete, he is a bluegrass legend with a long and storied career. He received his PhD in sociology from Columbia University, so he's affectionately known as Dr. Banjo. And then he later became the host of New York City's first and only bluegrass radio show in the 1960s. He formed a number of musical groups in Ithaca, New York, while he was teaching at Cornell. He was the first president of the International Bluegrass Music Association, and he performed in a touring group with comedian Steve Martin and legendary banjo player Earl Scruggs. So he and his wife Joan were one of the first bluegrass performers to extensively tour Russia and Scandinavia. And then his teaching method, the Wernick method, has registered over 10,000 students. So Pete and his wife Joan live down in Niwot, Colorado, and they are members of the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, where I had the pleasure of getting to know them and performing alongside them several times. So their fellowship is in the same boat as ours. They too opted to undertake an extensive renovation during the pandemic, so they are on Zoom as well. I asked Pete about sharing some music this week, and he was happy to help out, as he called it, some fellow Zoomitarian Zoomiversalists. So please enjoy Pete Wernick here and the ballad of John Lewis.
John Lewis was a sharecropper's son, sitting on his daddy's knee. He said, I'm gonna make a difference in this world. Jim Crow ain't gonna stop me, Lord, Lord. Jim Crow ain't gonna stop me. Well, his daddy said, you'd better watch out. White folks gonna get on your case. They'll block you every step of the way, gonna put you in your place, Lord, Lord. They're always trying to put us in our place. John Lewis was a short and humble black man, but his words rang tall and true, and everybody had to give him respect when he talked about the golden rule, Lord, Lord. Freedom's just the golden rule. Well, he rode the freedom buses all over the South, marched across the Selma Bridge, and they fractured his skull just for marching for his rights. And the whole world saw what they did, Lord, Lord. The whole world saw what they did. John Lewis, he was a nonviolent man, but he went to jail 45 times. Got elected to the U.S. U.S. House of Representatives, and he kept on fighting for his rights, Lord, Lord, fought like a lion for his rights. John Lewis stood for goodness and truth, inspired the entire nation, and when he finally laid down his weary head to rest, they said he was the conscience of the nation. They said he was the conscience of the nation. You can talk about your heroes on the football field, the warriors that won us World War II. Now the soul and the lessons of John Lewis' life brings glory to the red, white, and blue, Lord, Lord. John Lewis was a U.S. hero too. Hero too.
Hello. Our speakers today are interviews with three of the people who are most responsible for the transformation of our building. The first speaker is Roger Shattuck. He's the site manager. He is the person who day to day solves the puzzles that are presented by our building. The problem of its foundation, which is called a rubble foundation. He figures out the best way to support the balcony. Puzzle after puzzle, Roger solves it. And if you're stopping by the church, you might want to do it sometime this weekend, even to see the final layer that's gone up. The final framing is taking place this coming week. He is bringing the drawing that we saw to life. Our second speaker is Joel Hamilton. He represents our congregation during the planning and construction. He and other members of the building committee have had to make dozens of decisions in collaboration with Roger as the project has progressed. All the while, Joel is keeping us informed with a fascinating blog that is published on our church website. If you haven't looked at it, please take a look. It is so much fun to follow along, and Joel takes you on the ride. Our last speaker is Tom Golis. He is the contractor who took the risk and took on the project. Tom is a Moscow High School graduate who actually attended a few classes in the 1912 building across the street from our church. He has a deep appreciation of historical buildings and an understanding of our Unitarian Universalist goals. His mother was Dale Golis, a former elementary school principal in Moscow and later a member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Northwest Tucson in Arizona. Let's find out more about the recreation of our building from these people. Okay, hi Roger.
Hi, I'm Roger Shattuck. I'm a superintendent for Golis Construction and in charge of the construction and renovation of the Unitarian Church.
Thank you so much for taking on this project. We are so interested in the work that you're doing, and everybody is so curious. Could you tell us what you are most proud of about this project?
Probably the most proud of is just being able to take a historical building and add to it, renovate it, make it more usable and accessible for people to fellowship in. And just being able to construct something new to an old, it's an interesting project.
What kind of challenges have come with that?
That's probably the most interesting is adding a new structure to an old structure. The old structures are not exactly level, plumb, straight, square, and just trying to add and attach to an old structure has been the biggest challenge, I think.
What kind of surprises have you found along the way?
A lot of it is just the construction that they did 100 years ago is rubble foundations, building right on dirt. That's probably been the biggest thing, is just uncovering stuff that's been done 100 years ago that needs to be repaired. So that's probably been the biggest surprise or challenges is finding what was done 100 years ago that needs to be replaced and redone. So,
well, we appreciate the improvements that will help the building stand up and continue longer. And I know the foundation has been a challenge.
yep.
Could you talk a little bit about what your people will see behind you? I bet people are really curious about what they're seeing right here.
Sure. This is basically where we're adding the new to the old. So we cut a doorway into the sanctuary. This will be a double door accessing from the second floor of the new addition into the sanctuary level. They'll have ease of access for new stairs, elevator, to access directly into the sanctuary. Directly above it, you can kind of see where we infill the window. Right above that will be a doorway that accesses from the third floor up into the new balcony level. And then you'll also have access from the elevator and stairs to.
Talk a little more about the elevator, since we're standing here right beside where it's going to be.
Sure. We have basically what we call a 3-stop elevator. So at ground level, you'll be able to take the elevator to second or third floor. So it gives you easy accessibility to any level of the building at all. So.
Any challenges coming with the elevator?
No, not really. Elevators are pretty detailed. They have to, from day one, we have drawings and schematics of exactly what the elevator company needs. So elevator is there's a lot of rules and regulations, but it's pretty much well designed ahead of time. So we just build it to their specs.
One of the things we were talking about earlier were the number of bathrooms. Could you run down the bathroom changes in our new building?
Sure. We've demolished and took out one of the restrooms in the fellowship hall right next to the kitchen, and we're renovating one, so we'll have one full restroom by the kitchen. And then the new addition on the first floor will have 2 restrooms. Second floor will have 2 restrooms and then a full bathroom that has a shower. And then the third floor will have also a set of restroom upstairs. So we'll have a total of 6 restrooms in the church now.
When people are using the building, what do you hope they will notice or appreciate?
I think at first they'll notice, the new addition, we are adding some more Gothic style windows, so it'll tie into the older Gothic window in the original sanctuary. And then I just think the ease of accessibility to be able to come in, use the elevator, and then also having just a lot more classrooms and a lot more space for uses for different purposes, for Sunday school classes or for daycare or nursery use and stuff like that. So.
Well, we really appreciate your taking such care with our building.
No problem.
I'm Joel Hamilton. My role in this construction project is as liaison between the Unitarian Church and the contractors. And in that role, I guess I have 2 main responsibilities. One is to react to questions that are posed by the contractor, and if it rises to enough importance, I am expected to take it back to the building committee for further consideration. Occasionally there are things that are relatively minor, and I just offer my opinion. The other main role is to convey information about what's going on back to the congregation. And part of that is just my reporting to the building committee, but a much larger part of it is the pictures and the blog that I have been creating every few days. Basically pictures and commentary on the pictures in terms of at least my interpretation of exactly what's going on in those pictures.
Your most recent blog posts have talked quite a bit about what's behind you. Could you tell us what we're looking at?
Well, There was a balcony in this sanctuary when the Unitarians bought the building back in the 1980s, but it was in terrible condition, so it was ripped out. So we've gotten along for 30 years here without a balcony, and we thought that this was a real good time to put the balcony back. I like the aesthetics of the balcony. I'm anticipating how it's going to look when it's fully finished. It was a very, very interesting construction project, getting those beams in place.
What made it a challenge?
The beams are very, very heavy. So they had some interesting techniques that I've never seen before, raising the beams on beam jacks.
What other challenges have you seen people solve while building this?
I think that the biggest challenge that has been faced in this whole project was, in fact, the foundation of this building. Very, very inadequate foundation to the need that we felt with adding the new building next to it.
Did you have something else you wanted to say? Could you talk about the people who are doing the construction?
Well, my main contact here has been Roger, who has been wonderful in being willing to talk to me and being willing to let me prowl around a little bit in the construction site. And his knowledge of what's going on is amazing. Tom, the owner of the construction company, also very agreeable. We talk with him occasionally. Seems to be a very good guy.
One of the big things that we wanted to do with our building was to make it accessible. How well do you think we're going to have achieved that? What have we done?
Well, that was certainly one of the main issues that we faced when we were talking about doing the construction project. The yellow house was absolutely not acceptable. The things that we've done, basically the elevator is the core of it, but the building is straight in to the new addition, both from the south front entrance and from the new west entrance. Direct access to an elevator, which can take you to the sanctuary level or the third floor.
Behind us is the doorway to the sanctuary, and can you explain how people will get to that doorway?
That will be the main entrance to the sanctuary. To get to it, come in the front door or come in the west door. If you're able, there's a stairway. If you would rather, there is an elevator to the sanctuary level with direct access.
And access to the balcony?
And access to the third floor and through the foyer up there directly to the balcony. The balcony consists of 3 tiers. Not all of the tiers, but some of the tiers are accessible to a wheelchair.
Okay. Does the project meet your hopes and dreams?
It's going way beyond it at this stage. I'm impressed visually with what's happening. The sanctuary just feels so much bigger at this stage, and the friendship hall down in the basement is amazing how it looks with the addition of the 2 offices in the south edge to the space in the hall. It's going to be very useful.
Thank you for sharing the construction as it's happening and your experience with it. Go ahead. Hi, Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom Golis, Golis Construction, and we are out here changing this church from something it was into something new. So it's been a fun journey, and I say journey because the going into this, we had 6 months of budget problems, problems with the neighbors, problems with the city, getting different permits. We had lawyers involved, and I know the congregation did a great job coming up with some more money to make it happen. So that was important. But yeah, it was 6 months of, is it gonna happen? Should we go on to something else, or, stay the course, which we did. We stayed the course, and I'm real happy we did, because now we're out here building this fun project.
Once you got started, what kinds of challenges did you find?
Well, the challenges that we've found was, I'll start out by saying the Swedes did a great job building this structure, and the fact that it's been here over 100 years speaks to their skills putting it together. But this foundation was unlike anything I've ever worked with. It's 6 feet wide at the bottom and tapers up, and the church sits on it, and there's no bearing points. The whole thing's a bearing point. So they tried to spread the load, throughout the structure.
And that's what we're seeing here, even with these posts behind you.
Yes, these posts, well, these are holding up the floor, but the exterior walls where the foundation was probably the biggest challenge. We had in the kitchen a couple of window wells that were crumbling, and that's where the beam was sitting. And it was like, we got to do something with this. And of course, it all cost money, and but there was very little pushback from anybody as far as the cost of it, what's it going to mean, schedules, all that. It's been great, and I appreciate that, because if you don't have money and you got an unrealistic schedule, it usually doesn't end well. But the congregation has been absolutely great to work with. Joel has given us, clear, concise direction, and his sidekick Al, he's always there to back him up, and is a good sounding board also. And it's been good.
So as we're getting a little bit closer to completion, it has a sense of coming together. Could you talk a little bit about what we're looking at behind us? I think people might be curious what we've got.
What we're standing on, the center portion of this room, used to be wood sleepers on, just with fir flooring, diagonal 1-bys under the flooring on top of the joist, but it was never dug more than, a foot, 16 inches. So at one point, the church decided, we got to do something about this. So they tore it all up, dug it down 3 feet, and put all new framing system in here. And that's why we have the checkerboard floor instead of the fir floor. But we didn't do the kitchen, and these were offices, and so they didn't get the love at that point either. So we had to do it, and we looked at going back to a crawl space like what we're standing on, but we decided the concrete was better, and the bonus of that is it tied the foundation. It pinned it. It can't move now. It's up against concrete. So that was a bonus that we got.
The fellowship hall is going to be amazing. It's lovely how much bigger it's going to be, and the light.
Yep. These posts were a challenge. We got into it, and we found 2 of these posts over here, and 2 in the kitchen were literally rotted out. You stick your finger in the hole. So we had to get rid of those, put new footings down, jack up the, basically the level up above to get them in, and that was all challenging.
What do you hope that people will remember about this building, or remember about the people that made it, or the project that you've created here?
This building was around long before any of us were, and the fact that it's being brought up to current codes, and it will be here long after I'm gone, certainly. Maybe our grandkids might see its demise, but if you give it the love and attention and maintenance that it deserves, it'll go a long time. So I hope that people appreciate that. It's one of the older structures in town. And the fact that this addition was, designed to fit in, and looking at it, of course, it's not done yet, but looking at it from my perspective, I think it's going to be a good addition to the structure, and it's not going to look like something that was cobbled on for a back porch. It's going to be, an integral part of it. So that's neat, and that's really what I hope people appreciate is you can take something old, something new, come together, and it looks good aesthetically.
Well, we sure thank you for the work that you're doing on this.
Well,
Meaningful
I
work for all
appreciate
of us.
that.
Let this be
Our closing words today are a reading written by Linda Susan Ulrich. Open up the doors. Open up the doors. Push on looming wooden arches embroidered with ironwork. Brace shoulders against the weight of history unmoved. Slough off the musty smell of unused joy and stored up sorrow. Knock rust off the hinges if you have to, and let your breath precede you inside. Open the doors more. Make room for a shaft of sunlight to cross the threshold. Give the dust motes something to dance about. Peek through a single slice of possibility and name even the half-hidden truths you see. Open the doors wider still. Pour yourself through the gap. Strut or sneak or sidle as best suits you. Cleanse whatever scrapes catch your skin and bind up the wounds that keep you from entering. Open the doors as far as they go. Draw on strength of the stones beneath you. Ground yourself in a firm sense of who you are. Stand as a beacon, welcoming the next speaker, and shine far beyond the lintel and sill. Open all that you are. Heighten and deepen your connection to the world around you. Broaden your definition of neighbor. Grow into the largest target for grace that you can, and pray to become a gateway for even greater love and compassion. Open up the doors, my friends, lest we keep the stranger out and condemn ourselves to a prison of our own making.
Now let us extinguish our chalices and by reciting the words you see on your screen. We extinguish this chalice that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light our paths as we leave this place. May it guide our way until we are together again. Thank you all for coming today and getting an update on our new building. It's been an incredibly long journey to get to where we are, but the realization of our vision is finally in sight. It's very exciting times to be part of this community. And I hope that when it's finished, our new building can forever serve as a reminder that a small group of dedicated people working together can achieve great things.